네, 싱글즈 독자 여러분 안녕하세요. 박형식입니다. 반갑습니다.
So, we think Park Hyung-sik helped redefine what it means to be a rom-com male lead. Bold claim? Maybe, but hear us out. Back then, the formula was simple. The perfect K-drama hero had to be rich, cold, and maybe even a little toxic. He was the arrogant chaebol, the genius prodigy who pushed everyone away, or the emotionally unavailable prince. And as the story went on, the female lead's love would slowly melt his icy exterior. That's how it always happened. We all loved a love story that was messy and difficult, where love had to conquer every icy wall. Cue the wrist grab, the suffocating, I don't want to see you with another man possessiveness, the foul attitude toward her before he even admits he likes her. That formula carried a lot of the classics we still remember today. But here's the thing. Over time, that archetype started to feel tired, outdated, even a little exhausting. Did we really need another cold chaebol with a tragic backstory who suddenly learns how to love? Viewers were craving something different, something healthier. And that's where the green flag male lead entered the picture. Someone who could still be charming, witty, and confident, but also supportive, kind, and emotionally available from the start. The kind of character who makes you think, wait, why can't all K-drama men be like this? And one of the actors who helped usher in this new era, Park Hyung-sik. Born in 1991, this 33-year-old star didn't debut as an actor right away. He actually started out as a K-pop idol with ZA. And while the group had moderate success, Hyung-sik always had that something that made people look twice. He was funny, charming, and completely at ease in front of the camera. And it wasn't just the stage. On variety shows, he was funny, quick-witted, and completely unafraid to poke fun at himself. Basically the kind of guy you root for instantly. That charm carried over when he started acting. Sure, he began with supporting roles in The Heirs and Nine, but it was obvious he wasn't going to stay in the background for long. By the time he showed up in What Happens to My Family and High Society, people stopped calling him the idol actor and started calling him, well, just a really good actor.
야, 일어나.
죄송합니다.
넌 너무 심한 거 아니냐? 어떻게 날 앞에 두고 그런 비주얼로 자냐?
So, when 2016 arrived, Hyung-sik was ready. He landed the role that would completely reshape his career. And maybe even the K-drama male lead itself, strong woman Do Bong-soon.
가볍게 그냥 이 정도 거리에서 이 정도 이렇게 치면 되겠다. 그냥 툭 치면 돼.
At that time, the K-drama landscape was still dominated by a very familiar type of hero. The classic male lead was usually a chaebol heir, rich, arrogant, emotionally unavailable, and often downright cold to the woman he secretly adored. Think Lee Min-ho's Gu Jun-pyo in Boys Over Flowers, or Hyun Bin's Kim Joo-won in Secret Garden. These characters were iconic, but they also fit into a formula: the man who pushes the heroine away, only to slowly soften as love chips away at his icy walls. It worked for years. We couldn't resist watching the cold prince transform for love. But by the mid-2000s teens, that archetype was starting to feel tired. Did we really need another chaebol who couldn't communicate his feelings? Viewers were ready for something warmer, healthier, and more romantic from the start. Think about it. He wasn't the one holding all the power in the relationship. That was Bong-soon, the tiny but ridiculously strong heroine. And instead of being threatened, Min-hyuk adored her strength. He was in awe of her. That simple detail flipped the usual power dynamic we'd seen in countless chaebol romances. Instead of controlling or fixing the female lead, he supported her, encouraged her, and loved her exactly as she was. Another key thing? He fell first. Usually, the female lead is the one pining, chipping away at the male lead's cold exterior. But Min-hyuk had no walls. He was the one openly smitten from the start, chasing Bong-soon with boyish charm and endless patience. And when he finally confessed his feelings, it wasn't a grand, manipulative gesture. It was genuine, heartfelt, and even a little vulnerable. It was a breath of fresh air. Even the way he showed affection broke the mold. He teased her, yes, but he also respected her boundaries, protected her without being overbearing, and wasn't afraid to be soft. That balance of comedy, warmth, and sincerity made him the perfect rom-com lead for a new generation of viewers. Regardless of the absurdity of the plot, and let's admit it, strong woman Do Bong-soon had some wild, over-the-top moments, the unconventional love story felt refreshing because of him. For once, we weren't watching a man slowly learn to be kind or emotionally available. We were introduced to a male lead who was already confident enough in himself to love openly, to admire Bong-soon's strength instead of being threatened by it, and to choose vulnerability over pride. He was proof that a male lead could be powerful and playful, successful and soft-hearted, all at once. And for a lot of viewers, An Min-hyuk was the moment we realized, this is what we wanted from K-drama romance all along. And if you thought that was a one-off, his later roles proved it was the start of a bigger pattern. Take Happiness, a K-drama released in 2021, which also marked his comeback project after military enlistment. Now, post-enlistment is usually a critical moment for actors. Many lean into darker, edgier roles to prove they've matured or to break away from their earlier image. Hyung-sik could have easily gone the typical route of reinventing himself as the brooding anti-hero or the tortured male lead. But instead, he doubled down on what made him unique, playing characters who are strong without being suffocating and tender without losing their edge.
가까이 오지 마. 너만 보면 가슴이 뛰고 목이 말라.
나도 그래.
In Happiness, he plays Jung Yi-hyun, a detective and former baseball player who finds himself trapped in an apartment complex after the outbreak of a mysterious infectious disease. The virus, spread through a failed drug trial, turns people into violent, zombie-like beings. What could have been just another survival thriller became something different because of how Hyung-sik approached the role. In Happiness, his character Jung Yi-hyun wasn't just a detective battling a citywide crisis. He was also written as a dependable, steady partner who consistently supported Saebom, played by Han Hyo-ju. Even in the middle of chaos, he wasn't controlling or domineering. He trusted her judgment, respected her independence, and put their bond above his pride. In a genre where female leads often get sidelined or forced into helplessness during high-stakes moments, Hyung-sik's Yi-hyun treated her as his equal. He trusted her instincts, leaned on her when things got difficult, and gave her space to lead. And if you look at specific scenes, you see just how intentional that was. Take the moments where Yi-hyun risked everything to protect Saebom from infected residents. He never treated her like someone who needed saving. Instead, he respected her strength and trusted her instincts, always positioning himself as her partner rather than her shield. In fact, some of the most telling shots show him just a step behind her, letting her take the lead but always ready to have her back if things went wrong. What's even more striking is how his sacrifices never felt like empty martyrdom. He didn't throw himself into danger to prove how manly he was. He did it because he cared, and because he believed in their shared survival. That unforgettable ending drove it home. When Yi-hyun is infected, his first priority isn't himself. It's reassuring Saebom, urging her not to lose hope. Even in his weakest moment, he's focused on giving her strength, not demanding sympathy. That balance of vulnerability and quiet heroism elevated him far beyond the usual stoic male lead trope we were used to. And a personal favorite? Dr. Slump, a healing drama released back in 2024, which honestly felt like the full circle moment of everything Hyung-sik had been building toward.
우리 집에 무슨 볼일?
형, 우리 남자 대 남자로 얘기 좀 해요.
뭐? 남자 대 남자로 무슨 얘기 하려고?
우리 누나랑 제발 사귀어주세요.
On the surface, the drama was about burnout and finding your way back to yourself. But at its core, it was also about redefining what a healthy, modern romance can look like. The story follows Yo Jong-woo, a brilliant and once celebrated plastic surgeon, and Nam Han-yul, played by Park Shin-hye, an anesthesiologist who was known as the perfect student, but finds herself hollowed out by exhaustion and depression. Both crash spectacularly. Jong-woo, after a malpractice scandal, ruins his career, and Han-yul, after years of relentless pressure, leave her completely burned out. What made it quietly groundbreaking was its vulnerability. Because let's be real, how often do we actually see K-drama male leads admit they're not okay? In older dramas, a character like Jong-woo, a star doctor whose life implodes after one mistake, would have built walls, lashed out, or hidden behind cold detachment until the heroine fixed him. But Hyung-sik's Jong-woo, he didn't run from the pain, he showed it. He let himself lean on someone else, shared his cracks, and proved that being open doesn't mean being weak. And that's why the romance felt so refreshing. With Nam Han-yeol, it wasn't about one person saving the other. It was about two people stumbling, healing, and finding strength together. Jong-woo could be a source of comfort, but just as importantly, he allowed himself to be comforted. Even in the smallest details, Hyung-sik kept Jong-woo deeply human. The self-deprecating humor, the quiet breakdowns, the way his entire demeanor softened when Han-yeol reminded him he wasn't alone. It wasn't the typical K-drama cold man melts for one woman formula. Instead, it was a new kind of masculinity, one built on trust, humility, and emotional honesty. And if you step back and look at the bigger picture, that's really been Hyung-sik's signature across all his roles. Whether it's the playful CEO in Strong Woman Do Bong Soon, the resilient survivor in Happiness, or the broken but soft-hearted doctor in Dr. Slump, he consistently takes characters that could easily fall into cliché and reshapes them into something modern, emotionally grounded, and deeply human. In a landscape where K-drama male leads are often criticized for being toxic or outdated, Park Hyung-sik has quietly built a career out of being the green flag. Not just a dream guy fantasy, but a partner who listens, supports, and evolves. So thank you, Park Hyung-sik, for being one of the actors reshaping what it means to be a male lead in K-dramas. Now, if you want to see just how high he ranks among today's biggest talents, click on this video to find out where Park Hyung-sik lands in our top 100 most talented actors. Who knows? Maybe he's already earned that #1 spot.